Dr. Patrick Gonzalez, who is the principal climate change scientist at the National Park Service and an associate adjunct professor at the University of California, Berkeley, wrote a report in 2018, which was the first spatial analysis of climate change at 423 US national parks in the United States. He essentially reported that the national park area, which covers 4% of the US, is experiencing greater heat and aridity than the rest of the country. Dr. Gonzalez predicted that under the highest emission scenarios, the park area could increase in temperature from 3 to 9 degrees Celsius, which is very significant and could be extinction for many plant and animal species. We focused on Glacier National Park in Montana, Yosemite National Park in California, Yellowstone in Montana and Wyoming, and Mount Rainier National Park in Washington State. I think one of the most alarming things that a lot of people are aware of now is that Glacier National Park is losing its glaciers at a pretty significant rate. In fact, Dr. Gonzalez predicted that under the highest emission scenarios, Glacier won't have glaciers anymore by the 2040s. So I also focused on Mount Rainier National Park. A recent study at the University of Washington actually found what they're calling a mismatch between peak visitor times and wildflower blooming. The final snowmelt of winter is what creates the perfect conditions for these wildflowers bloom, but because snow is melting earlier and earlier every year in the season, visitors could miss the wildflowers altogether. So, I mean, compared with glacial loss, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it kind of is because people making that significant connection with the landscape that they might make when they're, walking into an alpine meadow full of wildflowers is often what is needed for public support for climate change legislation and conservation. Something that sticks out in my mind with Yellowstone is it's a hotspot for bark beetle infestations. This has affected other plant and animal species in many ways, one of which is the grizzly bear. Part of the reason that they're threatened is because of the lack of white bark pine cones. Grizzly bears feed on these pine cone seeds, which are really rich in protein and a high energy food for grizzly bears. But because there are less of them, the grizzly bears are wandering out of the greater Yellowstone ecosystem and having more interactions with humans as a result, and with humans' livestock, which has led to officials actually euthanizing grizzly bears because normally they would be populating higher elevations. These parks, as I said before, hold literally some of the last intact ecosystems in this country. And so I think it just made me realize how important it is to relay that message to continue to protect these areas.